At the Save Art Center in Fresno, California, the Mountain West Conference regular season comes to an end tonight. 2 games. This one, the Fresno State Bulldogs and the Utah State Aggies. 2 teams still trying to find out their final position in the Mountain West Conference tournament. I am Bob Akemi, and he is Richie Schuler. And we're ready to play basketball on this last night of the regular season. Utah State could finish as high as 2nd with a victory tonight. Fresno State could either be 6th or 7th. A little bit on the line for both teams.
That's right. Under Craig Smith, he's finished in 2nd place. The previous 2 years coming into this season, it could be number 2 seed again.
Utah State with the alternate starting lineup again tonight. Brock Miller still out with back problems. In fact, he didn't even make the trip to Fresno, resting up for the tournament. And Fresno State, after playing a lot of different guys all season long, has really settled in to a 9-man rotation. Bulldogs finishing strong. They might be that team nobody wants to play in the conference tournament. Bulldogs on the white, the home team. Aggies in the navy blue. We are ready to go. Dave Hall will toss the ball up. Bob Steffen, Chris Rastetter are officials. And welcome to your late night finish to the feast of Saturday basketball.
Well, as disciplined as Utah State always is on the offensive end, they do miss Brock Miller's shooting ability. And the way Fresno State's been playing different lineups defensively, Utah State has to be prepared for those different changing defenses as well as different players on the floor personnel-wise.
Now, Alfonso Anderson with the ball there. He's the guy that stepped into the starting lineup and has really responded. The senior, one of the 2 honored last weekend on senior night in Logan.
You know, Fresno State's a team that's going to look to push it in transition, but then defensively they might try to pressure you full court as well. Utah State needs to be prepared for that in this contest.
Fresno State's done a good job as the season progresses, cutting down on the turnovers, much more efficient. And their size, we'll talk about size all night, but Fresno State's size speaks for itself as much as the Aggies, who are the tallest team in the country.
And the last time these 2 teams played about a month ago, all 3 7-footers for Fresno State touched the floor and gave Utah State some problems. I don't think they were anticipating so much size in that game.
Well, there's Keita. Remember, he tweaked the ankle a bit in that game. Came out, could have finished the game if he had to, but Utah State had it in hand. He's in fine form right now. From the perimeter, there's Robinson showing his versatility. Yeah, he's a 7-footer. Yeah, he takes that shot, top of the key. Lob into Keita at the other end. Hits the trailer Bean. And this is typical Utah State strong ball movement.
Look at the way they move the basketball. Get it in the post. Everybody's cutting off the ball or setting a screen.
Keita draws the crowd. Now Raleigh Worcester takes the drive. That's an offensive foul on the 2-sport guy from Montana. Here's your series. Utah State leads all time. They've won the last 5. The last time Fresno State won here was back in 2016. And there's Craig Smith, his 3rd season. He's won 2 Mountain West Conference tournament titles. And a win tonight puts him in the 2nd seed. And look who's the 1st seed on the other side of the bracket, San Diego State. Robinson again away from the basket, and he connects with the 3.
He's so, look at here's the press that we talked about for Robinson. I mean, that's why he's an NBA caliber prospect. He can shoot from the outside at 7 foot, so he can be a step out guy for you, but he can also do some things on every post, the low, mid, and high post.
Now he is defending Keita. Open man Bean. And Justin Bean is the guy that makes you pay. He's had a double-double over his last 3 games. Stepping up with Miller being limited. Great leader on the floor. Guy who'll dive, scrape up his knees to get a loose ball. There's a quick release. There's Bean hustling back and a double team. And before he can draw the foul, he shuffled the feet.
Yeah, I think it's a good call. Looks like he got his feet caught up. Here it is right here. The 3-point shot by the 7-footer Orlando Robinson. 1 7-footer. Then you go on the other end. It's the other 7-footer passing to Justin Bean. His teammate draws the defense, and Bean for the mid-range shot.
And if you have not seen Keita or Robinson play this year, you're in for a treat. 2 big men with a lot of versatility, and that's why they're both going to play at the next level.
A lot of talk about them potentially being in the NBA here in the very near future.
Marco Anthony, good defense on that ball. Might be the best defensive player in the Mountain West. Takes that long lead pass from Worcester. Back to Font. Bean. Riley Worcester will pull up and connects.
And every great college player can shoot off the bounce. Riley Worcester's doing this as a freshman. I mean, I think they all expected Riley Worcester to come in and be a contributor. But 9 points a game, 3.5 assists, getting rebounds. I mean, he is the leader of the offense.
Robinson again from the outside. We look at his shot chart so far, nothing closer than 16 feet.
Well, you got to credit Neemias Queta in the defense.
Now Anthony. Defense his specialty, but he'll take these shots when they're open. Good pace up and down in the opening moments.
One of the Achilles heels for Fresno State's been turning the basketball over, something that they've struggled with throughout the course of the season. There's the defense. Queta just blocked Robinson when he got inside the three-pointer. Look at that.
Anderson inside. There's Anthony. Tipped Queta. Third chance going to be Queta. And we'll get our first stoppage of the game. Riley Worcester, he'd been slowed a little bit with a leg injury. But he sees his spot and knocks it down. Well, Neemias Queta is in some pretty good company, like Tim Duncan, like Chris Webber, because this is a guy averaging almost 15 points, 10 boards, over 2 assists, and a couple of blocks per game.
It's amazing. I mean, he leads the Mountain West. Well, he has 65 blocks. Can you believe that? He also has 65 assists. He's the only post player in the conference, in the nation, that has those kind of numbers. He actually leads the conference in 15 categories, mostly all defensive and rebounding, but he is a phenomenal talent, and what a difference maker. He controls the game on both ends of the floor, offensively, defensively. You always know where Neemias Queta is in the game.
And he just got his first block of the game, which now ties him for number 5 all-time Mountain West Conference. He'll end up at this pace, presuming he returns.
Right.
He'll end up in the second position. He's on pace for about 255 for his career. But will he return? Oh, that story remains to be told.
Well, right now, he's one of 10 players nationally that's up for the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year award. Can you believe that? It's an outstanding talent. And we talk about offense all day, but, man, defense wins you the games.
And he was also on the Alcindor list for best center in the country. It's hard to classify him because he doesn't play like a center, you know, and he's probably going to be a 4. He's a very active 4 at the next level.
Yes, and to be an active 4, you got to be able to step out and take some shots, and that's that one thing I know Orlando Robinson can absolutely do. Queta has drastically improved in that category.
Deion Stroud with the miss. He's 0 for 2 to start the game. Stroud, the hero of Fresno State's win at Boise State last week.
Look at this, Justin Bean bringing the ball up the floor.
Well, at Utah State, you got to be ready to do everything. You got to handle the ball, you got to play D, you got to pass.
It just shows you their versatility. Look at this footwork. Oh, that defense really hounded them. They get a little double team inside, a little trap in the post on Queta.
Well, and Fresno State's brought the backup big in, Braxton Mia, who was just there on the defensive end, 7'1" from right here in Fresno, San Joaquin Memorial. And in that first meeting, Mia was strong.
He was, yeah. The last time these two teams played, 14 points, 5 blocks, 5 rebounds. Only played 21 minutes in that game, but he had those kind of numbers. You think about those numbers. Those are really good numbers, but he only played half the game.
Anthony Holland off the bench, sophomore from Riverside. Got up to a slow start offensively. Coach Hunt.
But Holland has, as of late, been shooting the basketball a heck of a lot better. Yes.
Major improvement. He's averaging 10 points over his last 3 games after barely in the single digits. For Robinson. Okay, there's Robinson inside. So he's going to take that. He'll take that shot.
So look how fast they move the ball. I mean, they hold the ball for 1-2 seconds, they pass it, and then they always move. You don't see players standing around after they pass a basketball.
Queta hounded by Mia. And that'll be the foul. Utah State already with 4 turns. We talked about the versatility. Keita, 65 or more assists, 65 blocks. See, that's Tim Duncan stuff.
It's the only player in the nation to have those kind of numbers. And there's a lot of talk, especially in Utah State land, about how he's likely the best passing big in the country. And we just saw him get disturbed by a trap in the post a moment ago. That normally doesn't happen. Normally he passes right over people, and he does a really good job hitting his teammate just like that.
Be a big difference off the bench. They're taking away the middle. There was Anderson missing. Utah State just 2 of 7 from the field to open. Fresno State just 2 of 11. So this game's just warming up with a lot of energy on the floor. There's a nice open look, knocked down by Isaiah Hill. Another guy's finishing the season strong. He had that big three-pointer to win at Boise State. Fresno went up there, played well early. Broncos came back, and then Fresno finishes on a 13-1 run in Boise.
Yeah. I mean, basketball is a game of runs. You can never get too comfortable, especially the higher level you go, the less a big lead really means.
Bulldogs with the lead in the basketball. Junior Ballard also finishing strong. He's the leader in three-point attempts on this team. There's Isaiah Hill, puts the ball on the floor, draws the foul.
Well, here's good ball movement by Fresno State. Hill comes off the little ball screen, and a lot of times when players come off ball screens, they're either looking to attack or they're looking to hit the roller, or if the big man pops, you can hit him. But you're really dangerous as a guard if you can get off that mid-range shot off the bounce, off of the ball screen.
Keita out of the game, and here is Utah State's backup big, Trevin Dorius, who was strong in that game here as well in the first meeting.
You know, yeah, he played less than 20 minutes in that game. He was a great reserve. 9 points, made all 3 of his field goal attempts, had a few rebounds, and yeah, you talked about it. It was
2
Greg
blocks,
Smith.
2 assists.
Yeah, Greg Smith
steals,
talked about that. And the shot gets off for Isaiah Hill here.
But foul was on Ashworth, so he has 2. Ashworth, first guard off the bench, with Anderson starting and Miller out. Ashworth's going to have to sit down. He's wearing the blue Kobe's tonight. Yeah, check out the kicks.
It's not the green ones.
No.
We said the green ones were Kobe 6s, right?
Yeah. Or it was, I don't know.
And these are Kobe 4s.
Yeah. Is that it? I thought those were 4s and these are 6s.
Something like that.
Okay. Clearly we are not sneakerheads.
Exactly.
Those of you scoffing at us at the moment. That'll get Ashworth out of the game, and Bean comes back in.
I expect to see Fresno State. They make this free throw here. Even though they have a pair of 7-footers in the game, I bet you they go right into a press off of this. They try to pick you up full court as much as they can on dead balls, or I missed it, doesn't matter.
That's one of the best free throw shooters in the league, too. He's 88%. He's pretty close to Paul George's school record. Paul George shot 90% from the line his last year.
Young people don't understand how many points you can get off free throws. You know what I mean? Like it's a simple thing. If you practice it enough, you can get 5 to 10 points just on free throws per game. See, there's the press.
Christian Gray in for Fresno State, been battling shoulder problem, but been better recently. Best shooter on the team. There's the pressure.
Okay, so they subbed one of their bigs out, Orlando Robinson, so they go a little smaller. And, now they'll press. They don't want to press with 2 7-footers, doesn't look like it. With the smaller lineup, they can get kind of in the jerseys a little bit of Utah State.
Sean Bairstow in the game. Knocks one down the sophomore from Australia. Get another one of those guys with basketball in the family. Sister played at Utah State. Brother in New Mexico.
Brother went on and got drafted by the Bulls.
Played a lot early in the year. Was not quite in the rotation. Minus Miller. Lands on him.
Active movement by Utah State. You force at the end of a shot clock contested 3. It's exactly what they wanted to do, but not give up the offensive rebound.
Mia hustles out for that in the corner. He got poked in the eye.
And Braxton Mia is a big, strong man, 7'1", 250.
Fresno State off to the good start at home. They want to hold that 6th spot going to the conference tournament. Well, the madness is here. The Big East tournament tips off at MSG this Wednesday. Who is going to take it all? Nova, Creighton, Seton Hall, or Cinderella? Catch all the excitement March 10th through 13th on Fox, FS1, and the Fox Sports app. And speaking of bracketology, Mike DeCourcy has spoken. This is the Friday projections. Now, Xavier, you just saw them take the loss to Marquette. And Nova with another injury loss. Justin Moore going out with the ankle today, and Nova losing to Providence. I mean, they're in the tournament right now, but that may be a challenge, still being a 3 seed.
Yeah, it's a battle. 4 teams going to the NCAA tournament is what is projected here. There's some of the uncertainty with Creighton and the program there right now, but it's an extremely strong conference, and I'm expecting to see probably 1 or 2 of those teams be at least a second weekend team, if not a third weekend team come NCAA tournament time.
And Xavier, maybe the question mark now, they were 52 on the net ranking going into play today, and I know the net ranking is not the do-all, end-all, but there's got to be a reference somewhere, and that'll be the number the committee is certainly looking at. So that foul, by the way, before the timeout was on Raleigh Worcester. So now you have Worcester and Ashworth each with 2 fouls. So Max Shulga has come into the game for Utah State. Now he has been a force the last couple of weeks. Off the bench, the Ukrainian from Kiev. I'm Bob Akamian, he's Richie Schuler, and we're at the Save Mart Center, Fresno, California. Last night of Mountain West Conference regular season play. Glad you're with us on FS1. Tournament begins in Las Vegas.
I'm curious to see how Max Shulga handles the point guard duties. You have 2 freshman point guards, which how many great programs like Utah State have a starting freshman point guard and a backup freshman point guard like Utah State does, both in foul trouble. Shulga's got to step up now. And it's another freshman.
Braxton Mia is absolutely defending the rim right now. You saw twice there. Now Utah State has brought Trevin Dorius in. So here are the backup bigs.
Yeah, Braxton Mia, I mean, he's a rock. They have him listed at 250. I think he weighs more than that. That's probably what he weighed when he got there. That was 6 months ago. He might be 260, 270.
He's 7'1", but I mean, look at his thickness and look at that little hook shot. Not quite a Kareem Skyhook, but it's even 10.
He's 19 years old.
Bulldogs by 6. Keita about to come back in for the Aggies. Quiet so far.
A little dig-in action.
There's Christian Gray slapping that ball out.
Yeah, I like that. It's not a full trap. It's just a little dig-in. See if you get a piece of the basketball.
Well, here's how the Mountain West stands as we begin play tonight. Last games being played, this one, and then UNLV is playing Wyoming as we speak. That game started along with us. And the result of that could influence Fresno State's position. They're tied with the Rebs for 6th. If Wyoming wins, Fresno State's locked at 6, but if the Bulldogs can't hold this lead and UNLV wins, they'll swap 6-7. And of course, the Aggies need to win to lock down 2. That door opened with Colorado State losing last night.
Bob, you weren't lying. Braxton Mia is doing a fantastic job on the defensive end for Fresno State. He's giving Keita a lot of problems. Look how good of a player he is. I mean, 57% from the field, almost averaging a double-double. Look at the block shot.
And this, and you talk about his range, and hopefully we can see this again, the big swat just now defending.
Yeah. He's a dynamic defender, as we all know. Like, here's his help side defense. I mean, look, if you beat one defender, if you're the opponent, you still have to deal with Neemias Queta back there as the help side defender. He's the insurance policy anytime a teammate gets beat off the bounce. But Mia's been giving him problems. Really on both ends of the floor, but particularly on defense. Mia is so strong and plays with a lot of physicality.
Mia played on a very good team at San Joaquin Memorial with Jalen Green. That was some must-see high school hoops here in the Valley. Look at Bean.
That's why you follow. That's why you keep running the floor. Coaches will get on you about that. If you play pickup basketball all the time, you get into bad habits. You don't do that. But a good coached team, a well-coached team, will have their players finish all the way to the basket to get offensive boards like that in putbacks.
And a timeout called by Fresno State. So here goes Anthony, who will attack Ball is loose. Bean is there. Basket time. Utah State slow start offensively, but the Aggies close the gap to 4. Deion Stroud, the hero of the win over Boise State. Oh, but look at this.
That's filthy.
It's All-Star Weekend. That'll get some points. Does that get a 9?
Oh,
that's all 9s.
Give it a 9.5. I mean, he attacks the basket like he's angry. You see the motor and acceleration he has. Explosive.
And he didn't even look like he was utilizing all effort.
Oh, look at the double team here. I like this. Keita come from the baseline side.
We talk so much about doubling Keita. How about Keita being part of the double, and that forces the turn. Shot clock violation.
It was all started by Justin Bean, who played with his chest, hands up in the air, and then Keita came to help, and Orlando Robinson nowhere to go with it.
Well, if not for his offensive production this year, you would call Bean a glue guy because of all those things he does. But he's a threat. He's improved his outside shooting. He was not considered a three-point threat.
You know what's crazy, too, is his numbers were a little bit better than his points and rebounds a year ago.
Nice catch and shoot. Now that popped out.
Yep, he's been making those, though.
There's Jordan Campbell in the game now, attacking. He is in deep blue territory there. And the held ball, and it'll still be a Fresno State possession.
But look, it all started here. 3 things in a row I've seen Bean do that's good. Look, he started this trap right here. It ended up being a shot clock turnover. Going the other end, he shoots a mid-range jumper. He misses it, but it's a shot he normally makes. Then he goes back down the other end on defense again and ties up the ball. That's what he does. He does everything. Justin Bean does it all. There he is again. There, he's everywhere. He's on the floor. Loose rebounds, 50-50 balls.
And Fresno State is being a little impatient right now. They get the ball inside. It's like, we have to do something with it here. We need to kick it back out. It's too crowded in the paint.
He does everything for your team. There's not a team in America that wouldn't want a player like Justin Bean on their squad.
And, you know, he was a walk-on.
I know.
He was on his mission. Doug Gottlieb loves this story. If you watched us last 2 weeks from Logan. You know, he's on his mission in Reno, and he's interested in Nevada, but they weren't crazy about him. The whole plan was hatched in a Subway. Not the Subway, the sandwich restaurant. There is no Subway in Reno. There's no Subway.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we're really struggling for offense here, aren't we? Neither team even shooting 30% from the field right now. Is that good offense or good defense or bad offense? I'd say a little bit of both.
The defense has been very good. Both teams, I think.
It has.
Both teams are disrupting one another.
Well, that's what that man is known for right there, Justin Hudson. He's defensive coordinator at San Diego State. They always had national rankings on the defensive end.
And, you know, Justin, he's one of the hardest guys to get a definitive statement or a big compliment for his team out of it. I think for Fresno State, considering some of the pauses they had to take, I think it's mission accomplished the way they're playing that stretch. And I think they're the team you don't want to play in the Mountain West tournament.
They are really disturbing Neemias Queta every time he gets the ball in the red paint. Every time. It's either like a Braxton Mia giving him a hard time with the physicality, but look at all the hands that are going in, digging in, trying to get a piece of the basketball.
You see Holland, just a little poke check there from Holland.
You're right. They're doing a fantastic job down there.
And we'll talk a little more about the Mountain West tournament bracketology. You know, the Utah State's first game at the tournament could be against Fresno, depending on what happens to and what happens in the first round for the Bulldogs. Hey, a three-pointer. No one's been hitting the threes in this game, and Holland hits that.
We talked about how he's getting better from outside the three as the season has gone on.
Anderson back in. This is from long range. And a turnover. And that'll have a step aside. So Anthony Holland started the season just shooting 4 for 30 from the field. He's almost 40% since then, and that's why Fresno State is finishing strong. If you came here for offense, well, you're not satisfied yet, but stick around, more basketball to come. Coming up at halftime, you'll be satisfied because Rob Stone and Coach Lav will be in the studio with highlights of Nova Providence, Georgetown, UConn, and the Big 12 battle between OK State and West Virginia, all coming up at the half. Well, on the Fresno State bench, a guy who knows quite a bit about both of these teams.
Yeah, this game kind of hits close to home for associate head coach now. Tarvish Felton got that title just before the season. But get this, third season here at Fresno State under Justin Hudson as the associate head coach. He was also the associate head coach at Utah State under Coach Tim Duryea. He was an assistant coach / associate head coach at Utah State for a total of 10 years. So he clearly knows both these teams pretty well. And a lot of these players on the Utah State roster, he had a part in recruiting at some point in time.
And, you know, it's funny because Justin Hudson, who was such a great recruiter, made his mark with the things he did at UNLV and San Diego State, now brings in a guy like him. So it's a pretty good weapon on your bench.
Absolutely. Always good to have continuity, people that know the league.
And Tarvish, remember, goes back to Stu Morrill.
Yeah, he does. You're right.
The height of the WAC excellence of Utah State.
There's no doubt. He's been a head coach in his career. Tarvish Felton, I think he'll be a head coach again at some point in time.
All right, not much so far. Who's going to get it going? There's Worcester. No. Second chance going back up. Bean, of course, is there. He'll get to the line.
Well, go figure. Justin Bean back in the mix again. Has that ever happened? Have you ever looked at Portuguese Twitter?
No.
You probably never have, right?
I don't.
See, he's all over the place. But you know what? They call him feijão because in Portuguese, that means bean. And it's always a big deal. He's had some teammates, obviously. I think it was Diogo Brito, Portugal influence from Portugal, Nemias Keita. So, you know, they obviously follow Utah State basketball. So he's got his own nickname in Portugal, or anybody that speaks Portuguese.
Which I'm sure, you know, Nemi loved that. And of course, live bet, there's 5 Utah State players who take LDS missions and pick up the language in different places. Well, speaking of Bean, let's go back to the Wyoming matchup last week.
Well, Bean is all over the place. 21 points and 10 boards in this basketball game. Gets it done from the inside. He's so physical around the basket. And he's not even that tall. He's 6'7", but you can lob plays or lob passes over defenders, and he still ends up getting. He's so active. It's like a pogo stick. He's always moving, and he's getting up high off the air.
Now, that game was Thursday. I said last week. It was Thursday. Now, these last 3 games, again, he's averaging double-double, 19 and 11. Rebounding thing is in every night. He's up to about 8 for the year for his average.
They're just hounding Keita. Look at that. I mean, he's being guarded by Orlando Robinson and Christian Gray, the tweener, the small, undersized post player, just comes flying over there to trap. And, you know, Keita is getting trapped hard, and they're not just trapping it soft. I mean, this is physical. Look at this double team. He gets it, and immediately Christian Gray, boom, he's there. And they just wall up. They make it very difficult for him to move. Obviously, they fouled, but it's given Keita problems down inside.
It's Gray's second foul. So Mia will come back in. So see, here are the Bulldogs embracing some different roles. Great shooter. Guy you're relying for offense. Giving it up a little bit, playing defense in this game against Keita. Again, Utah State, 4 of 18 now. Over 3 minutes without a basket. Now, Aggie fans know that there are 2 halves in the game, and earlier this year they only had 22 in the first half against San Diego State and then won the game.
Can never count the Aggies out. Craig Smith's team is always going to fight to the end. There's double team again. They can't even go baseline because they're cutting them off. It's a great ball movement by Utah State. It's the way they play. Eventually, they're going to shake free and get some open looks, which they have. They just haven't knocked them down.
Worcester baseline.
Oh, that could have been Worcester's 3rd foul right there.
He was almost fortunate to lose control of the ball.
Very fortunate. Very fortunate. Junior Ballard. We all know he's a good three-point shooter.
Now, was that a lob? Was that intended to be a lob, maybe?
I thought it was a floater.
Or was that just a floater for Junior?
I mean, I think he doesn't take a whole lot of shots in the paint. I mean, the people are expecting him to shoot a three, so you play him as a shooter. He did a good job of driving by and forcing or driving middle.
Ballard has been a starter. 16 starts this year. Another Valley guy from Stockton. Went to Cal Poly. Transferred in this year. He's in the dribble. Mia moves the ball nicely. Shot clock getting late. There's another lob, but again, too much traffic inside. But Robinson got bumped hard. Is that Cada? It's going to be Anderson.
Anderson, yeah. Well, it's interesting. So Utah State, and both their point guards, Raleigh Wooster, Stephen Ashworth, both sitting with 2 fouls. They both came out of the game at a certain point in time. Now they're both back in the game, and they're in the game together. And when you see a coach do that, that's them saying, look, I think we have a better chance of winning, especially down the way we are right now with these 2 guys in the game. We'll risk that 3rd foul, and we'll do some things defensively to make it a little more difficult for them to get that 3rd foul.
Robinson will fall away. Rebounded, of course, the Aggies leading the country in rebounding. They're plus 10. They've out-rebounded every team they've played this year, win or lose. The turn, though. Bang for Fresno, bang for Ballard.
He just drove it to the basket a couple of plays ago. Now he gets a wide-open look, showing his versatility. The Cal Poly transfer.
5 points for him. He's 30% beyond the arc. 6 straight for the Bulldogs. The lead is 12.
Well, part of the deal here is you just talked about how they've out-rebounded every one of their opponents. They're down 3 right now.
They've only scored 9 points in the first 16 minutes of the game.
I like that. Cada begging for the ball.
There's the help, this time from Ballard. And the foul's going to be on Mia. And that's 2 on Braxton Mia. Will this be a battle of attrition tonight between these 2 teams? Aggies looking to come back, but it's all Bulldogs so far at the Safe Arts Center. Well, a pretty proud history for Fresno State basketball under Rodney Terry, Steve Cleveland, Jerry Tarkanian, and Boyd Grant, the winningest coach of all time. 1983 NIT champs. Coach Grant passed away this past summer. He had 2 great careers at Fresno State and also at Colorado State as well. So he knew these teams. Beloved figure back when Bulldogs played at Selland Arena downtown. That was a tough place to be the visiting team. Tark took advantage of that too.
And if you look at Coach Grant's numbers, head coaching record, high school, junior college, at Fresno State and Colorado State, 275 wins, only 120 losses. That's quite remarkable.
Big part of the history of this program. You know, it took until the 1960s for Fresno State to have a 20-win season. Then, oh my goodness, Grant, 3 times in the NCAA, won the NIT. Tark, 6 20-win seasons. I know somebody took some of those wins away, but everyone here knows about that. Steve Cleveland had the Paul George teams. Rodney Terry had 4 20-win seasons before he left for UTEP.
He's doing a good job down in UTEP, too.
He's the real deal.
He's a coach. He's a really good coach.
And that opened the door for Justin Hudson, a son of the Valley, of course, from Bakersfield.
Oh, they need this layup right here. That's exactly what Utah State needed. They were 4 of 20, 20% from the field before that. That can help spark them here in the last 4 minutes of the half.
Run a simple, effective play out of the timeout. Isaiah Hill has the ball taken away. Oh, Hill got poked in the eye. I think he is down. At the other end, Shulga trying to keep it under control. There's Ashworth. Look at that monster 3. And now Anderson hits the ground as well.
Well, this tells you what kind of young man Stephen Ashworth is. Okay, he's got 2 fouls, finding ways to help his team. He knocks down this 3-point shot. Right, so now they're on a little bit of a 5-point run. Okay, and then earlier here, Steve Ashworth makes the pass that gets the layup. But then on the other end, after that three-point shot is made, Isaiah Hill twists his ankle or hurts himself. Stephen Ashworth goes up to him and says, hey, man, you okay? That's good sportsmanship.
Ashworth, who signed with the previous administration, Coach Duryea, high school star at Lone Peak. Won a state championship before going on his mission. Playing a big role now with no Brock Miller. Brock, I know you're watching at home. We're going to see you back in Vegas at the tournament.
I missed the pregame chats with Brock Miller.
First guy out.
Yeah.
Robinson beyond the arc. We don't talk much about Robinson because so many other guys are contributing to Fresno. Robinson's just 1 of 7, and yet they're up 7.
Fresno State is a team that plays 11 players in double-digit minutes, so a lot of guys get action.
Mia comes back in. Mia just got his 3rd foul. So we talked about this a moment ago. 22 points in a game that the Aggies won. They only had 22 in the first half. They're stuck on 14 right now, just under 3 minutes to go.
You just talked about how sometimes they don't play well offensively in the first half, but it's a 40-minute game.
And now going to the bench, hobbling, is Anthony Holland. And Mia has to come out with that 3rd foul. What do we say? War of attrition.
Yeah. Well, this is Neemias Queta. There's a lot of talk about who's going to be player of the year in the Mountain West. And I think Queta's right there.
I don't think there's any question.
I mean, you could make an argument for a lot of guys. Yes, he does lead in 15 categories. You know, Derek Alston, Boise State. You got Roddy and Stevens at Colorado State. Mitchell and Shackle at San Diego State. And you got Neemias Queta. Is he in a class of his own?
Trap. Look at this little trap the Aggies put on. That's clear. You know why I like Queta? Because he both ends of the floor. Not to take away from the other guys.
He does control the game, I'm telling you. There's nobody that can dominate a game on either end of the floor in this conference than Neemias Queta. Offensively, draws so much attention. That's why they're constantly trapping him. He passes out of those traps. Defensively, he's got to help off the ball. You know, he gets 3 blocks a game, but he stops teams from going into the paint much more because they don't want to get blocked.
Ashworth just picked up his 3rd foul, so he'll have to come out. Bean back in. Looks like the scoreboard needs to be reset as we get ready for free throws from Orlando Robinson. Robinson, 70% free throw shooter. This is not the score of our game.
Oh, wow.
This is what happens when you it's the old power cycle. Unplug it and plug it back in. It always comes up that way.
It's 7 overtime game, huh?
So like, remember VCRs and you'd plug it back in and it would be flashing 12 o'clock?
You just took me back 30 years.
This is the equivalent of that.
Okay, they got it right now. Is it right? 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah,
here we go. Well, it said 23 seconds for a second.
We'll send both teams to the bench as they'll reset. So Utah State now 7 straight. They've cut the lead to 5. Well, you know, we talked about Utah State perhaps getting the 2nd seed again, which puts them the opposite side of the bracket from San Diego State. So could it be again a 1-2 final in the conference tournament? And of course, it was Sam Merrill, the Milwaukee Buck-bound Sam Merrill, with the money shot. Utah State won the tournament last year.
That was a lot of fun to watch. We said it in the open. Craig Smith has led Utah State to the number 2 seed the previous 2 seasons. Win here tonight, and they're a number 2 seed for the 3rd year in a row. It's worked out well for them the last 2 years because they've beaten San Diego State in the final, and it very well could be a rematch this season as well.
And again, as the number 2, they would get the winner of the 7-10 game, which will be Air Force against either Fresno State or UNLV, depending on what happens in the Rebs game with Wyoming tonight. And so then in the next round. So again, Utah State's next game could be Fresno State. getting a scouting report out of this game.
They've got to get through this game here. I mean, 1 of 6 from 3. They're definitely missing Brock Miller. They could certainly use Sam Merrill if he wants to come back for a game or two.
I don't think
it's happening. He's helping the Bucks set 3-point records instead.
He was the guy in that game where they just lit up Sacramento back in December. He had the big 3.
Yep. 29 threes in that game for the Bucks.
I know it's not an asterisk because it was against the Kings. Side. Penetration by Gray. Draws the foul. All right. Bracketology, it's on everyone's mind right now. Mike DeCourcy has his thoughts. Here's the first 4 out. Hey, 2 Mountain West teams. First 4 out. Are the Broncos and Aggies playing for 1 spot in the bracket in the tournament?
Well, that's the thing,
hate
too.
To see that.
Didn't Boise State sweep Utah State this season?
Yes.
So, in that case, a win here, I think Boise State still has a little bit of an edge. If it came down to those 2 teams for an at-large bid, I think Boise State would get it. So, obviously, Utah State needs to win. They need to make some noise in the conference tournament. Let's say Utah State wins here tonight. Then they go on and maybe they reach the finals, win or lose. They're probably going to get in.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think Boise State is a mistake. Now, Boise State has a really tasty first matchup because it'll be a rematch with Nevada, who swept them in that dynamic series in Reno. I'm sure Leon Rice is cooking up some revenge there.
Oh, I guarantee it. They have over a week between games, between their last game and the conference tournament. And you know they're angry right now. They're practicing angry. They're going to be a force to contend with in the Mountain West tournament.
Another Utah State turnover. That's number 7. Robinson again. He's 1 of 9. Again, he's getting help. The Bucks still up 9. Final 2 minutes of the first half. Rob and Coach Lab in the studio coming up.
A little mismatch here.
Cada gets out of trouble, keeps the ball moving.
But usually there's a Brock Miller and some more guys that are knocking down 3-point shots on the floor when he gets it out of the double team.
How about Bairstow? No. Robinson with a rebound. That's number 7 rebounds for Robinson. So what if he's not shooting the ball well? He's doing a great job defense. Now Harding now in the game. Out of New York. Harding in the dribble. Played in every game this year. Now he'll take that 3. Banks it in. He did not call it, but he'll still get 3. I did not see the hand go.
Wow. You're telling me that Utah State could be held to 16 points in the first half? Is that defensive confidence by Justin Hudson's Fresno State squad?
Now they're going to be held to under 20, and again, their season low is 22. He's going to take this last shot. It's going to be tough. Cada's away from the basket. No, as the shot clock expires. And what a fitting ending to the half for the Bulldogs. They'll inbound the ball because there's still 2/10.
I'm impressed with this defense. I mean, Utah State is having so many problems getting any shot inside the paint clean. It's incredible. The way Fresno State has been double teaming, the way they're digging in, they're getting their hands on the basketball, they're distracting and disturbing the Utah State players with the ball. I mean, this defense is stifling. And Justin Hudson's defensive squad is impressive.
And what did we talk about? By the way, we're debating how much time is left on the clock. So there's where they see the 0 on the shot clock.
Yeah, that's probably like almost a second, like 0.7,
there's a
0.8.
second because that was a violation. So the clock should stop at a second. Now that's still not much time to run a play, but want to get it right.
Catch and shoot.
Crew, three veterans out here. I've done more games this year with Chris Rastatter, I'll tell you. We don't travel together. Again, there was a shot clock violation now.
So it's a second left.
So there's a second left.
1.1 maybe even.
Yeah. So they'll put a second back in. It'll still be a challenge to do anything off the inbound, but I'm sure Fresno State is plotting.
So you're going to get a pass and a shot, or maybe in motion. If the guard's in motion, You know, he's sprinting at an angle. He catches the ball. Maybe he gets one bounce, and you know, you get a 50-foot three-point shot from beyond half court.
Now, what did we talk about in the first game between these two teams about how much do you double Keita? And we discussed, do you do it all the time or not? Do you need to do it all the time? Well, they're doing it all the time. They're helping on him every possession, and it's paying off tonight because everyone's chipping in. They're not relying on just Mia coming in and being a second big. All these guards for Fresno State are getting the hand in there, and it's making the difference.
And it's making it very difficult for Utah State. They don't know where the double team is coming from some of the time. But, you know, you can't just go and double team and expect it to work. There has to be players rotating off the ball defensively. You got to have somebody that's going to help the helper. Then you got to have somebody that's going to help the person who helped the helper. So everybody has to move on defense. So they got to be one fluid unit together. And Fresno State's been outstanding at that.
We're still discussing how much time will be put back on the clock. So a little huddle here. Well, you're talking about defense. This is how the Bulldogs have been handling Keita.
Well, look at Keita, number 23 in the blue.
Right in the middle.
All right, these
two guys. He moves away.
He didn't get the ball down inside. Yeah. So there's always new bodies being thrown at him.
It was Stroud when they were low, and then Gray picks him up, and Stroud bounces out and helps. And this is how it's been the entire game. Every time that Utah State's been able to run an offensive set, they have not been able to run very much either.
Well, the great equalizer when you take away the paint is the three-point shot. They are missing Brock Miller. Brock Miller is a near 40% three-point shooter. He's a dynamic three-point shooter. He stretches the floor. I'm not sure Fresno State's trapping here would be as good as it is tonight if Brock Miller was on the floor knocking down some three-point shots. As a result, Utah State is 1 of 7 from behind the arc.
We talked about Ime Keita's numbers and how he compares in the Chris Webber, Tim Duncan continuum. This is why. Points, rebounds, assists, and blocks. An willing passer. We're going to get an explanation here.
Okay.
All right, so we get explanation from Chris Rastetter. So no shot clock violation. Okay. There's a technical foul on Fresno State. And so the clock will be set based on when the whistle blew. So I'm not sure if we can hear the whistle in the background, but that was less than a second. That was not at 1 then.
Did you see anything that might have been the technical foul?
No, I did not even notice that. But they said Utah, you know, they just tell us bench, just a bench.
Common technical.
So we're going to stay on point 2. So we're going to see if we can tell on the backcourt. Now, it's just a bench technical. They don't have to, they will not attribute it to anyone. But let's watch the background here. Well, somebody did walk out on the floor from the corner. But, so that was at point 2. But now here's the upshot of this. Utah State gets to shoot free throws with the clock at point 2. Right there, this guy, that guy. You tell who that is? Well, there's your offender.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, I can't tell.
He's got his shooting shirt in, but just
the guy.
Just a young man making a mistake. He was excited about his teammates having a great defensive possession, a shot clock violation. I think he thought the clock had run out, so he was coming out to congratulate on the way to the locker room.
So now Utah State shoots 2 free throws with the clock stopped, and they'll get the ball. Now, point 2, you're not going to get a shot.
All you're allowed to do is tip at point 2, so maybe they get a little alley-oop.
Hey, 3 points.
I mean, they've been sitting for 5 minutes, right? Like, so they're cold. He's got to get one of these. Then they're going to inbound. I wouldn't be surprised to see them do a little alley-oop play with those 0.2 seconds.
Well, that's a 78% free throw shooter. There's number 2. Hey, in a game like this, every point counts. So now let's watch this tip play. Of course, Worcester's going to throw it. Who's going to be?
23 Keita is my guess.
Now, Bean's not in there. Bean would be the other guy I think of. They are all over Cato. Nope. Another good job of defense. So it only cost Fresno State 1 point. And it's still an impressive 10-point lead at the half. And here you go. Aggies had 22 against San Diego State, came back and won, but only 17 against a fired-up Fresno State team. Bulldogs by 10. The studio is next.